What is going on, everybody? So I'm making this video today for those of you who are thinking about setting up a saltwater aquarium, those of you new to the hobby, or those of you who are fighting green hair algae issues, especially in new tanks. Now, we just recently set up a tank. It's going on like 4 months now, and it had a really bad algae bloom, but that's to be expected. And I want to kind of show you guys exactly how we dealt with it and the process, how we went from a very bad green hair algae bloom to pretty much taking care of the issue. But first, I wanted to share with you guys this really cool 400-gallon aquarium that's got some really badass fish in it. And it's just too cool for me not to talk about. So let's head to that customer's house first and let's check out his tank. All right, so we're at the customer's house right now and I'm really excited to get you guys inside and show you this tank, man. We've been servicing this tank for years and it's one of my favorites. All right, so here's the aquarium. I love this fish tank. I just think every time I come here, there's something new, something cool. Right off the bat, you notice the monos, they look amazing. Got some tangs in here. Got that hogfish in there that's absolutely getting massive. We got a magnificent fox face, some chromis. I see a blue hippo tang. I think we have 2 yellow tangs in here. Some good sized chromis in this tank too. There's like gotta be at least 10 of them. And this is a new addition. This is the first time I've seen this, but there's a porcupine puffer in this aquarium, which is a little guy too. That was a recent addition. And you also see the Valentini puffer up there, which is massive. It's the biggest Valentini puffer I've ever seen. And there's another magnificent foxface. So that's 2 of them in this aquarium. Beautiful fish. And then there's also another a porcupine puffer over there in the corner. So 2 porcupine puffers. These are a new addition to the tank. That's 4 new fish since the last time I've been here. Now, for those of you who don't know, this tank used to have a bamboo shark, I think it was. But it ended up getting way too big for the aquarium. And if you saw Paul Gaffaro's video, Paul Gaffaro actually caught the shark out of this very tank that we're at here today. This is a tank we service, and rehomed it to, I guess, his predatory pond. It's a really cool video. You guys should check it out. But yeah, that shark was in here. But with the absence of that shark, the customer was able to get wanted to add a couple of additions to the aquarium, and that's where you see the puffers and everything. For the most part, everything in this tank is doing good. Oh, quiz time. What kind of fish is this? I'll give you a clue. It's an angelfish, but what kind is that? And I'll give you another clue. It's reef safe. This is also a new addition to the tank, which, oh man, I love this fish so much. One day I will have this fish in my aquarium. Oh, all right, so if you guys know what that is, put it down in the comments. I'd love to hear you guys, see who can figure that out. Other than that, the tank looks great. Everything looks healthy. Fish look all right, and the coral look pretty good. And today we'll be servicing this aquarium. We're here every 6 weeks, so I try to do a really detailed service since we're only here every so often. But the customer is really involved in their tank and does a great job of taking care of the fish. So I'm doing a water change right now. Let me go over that with you guys real quick. Because we're here every 4 to 6 weeks, I always like to do a pretty good water change because there is a lot of bioload in this aquarium, as you guys can tell. For the most part, the nitrates are perfect. You know, they're not too crazy high. But today I'm going to take about 50% down, get a good water change, do some good scrubbing. We'll take a look at the filtration down below. You see the protein skimmer is doing his job. That thing is nasty, man. It's filled with just gunk, but it's dialed in and doing what it's supposed to do. And this is a really large sump down below here. You got a little refugium section, and it just keeps going. It's the length of the tank, this sump. Man, I just love working on this tank. I just love how big it is. I love all the fish that are in there. It's just so much fun to kind of mess around in here. And you know, the coral are doing really good too, which is really cool to see. No doubt that there's plenty of stuff. No doubt that they are helping keep the tank clean by filtering out some of the excess nutrients. Yeah, so I just wanted to quickly share that with you guys as you see the 2 eels popping their heads out right now. But let's go ahead, leave here, and head to the tank, and we'll talk about the customer who's having a bad algae outbreak. All right, so here I am at the aquarium. This tank's about 4 months old, like I said, and it's going through that ugly phase. It has a nutrient explosion. The rocks aren't cured yet, and there is tons of green hair algae in here. So we have our work cut out for us today. So I'm gonna start first by just going through the whole aquarium and just with this toothbrush, just scraping and getting through as much of these holes and get as much of this algae off as I possibly can, but also stirring up a lot of that detritus. Now, I'm just gonna keep scrubbing here, but we've already see that algae is coming off relatively easy. The sides, I noticed that there's a lot of brown algae growing on the sides. Now, if you look at the sand, you see there's a lot of browns and greens in there. That's because the sand is brand new too. So it hasn't had time to kind of get biodiversity, you know, the right bacteria and the right copepods and little critters in there, worms and things that will help break down those organics in the future. But we definitely got our job cut out for us today. You can see, look at the algae growing between those zoas, causing them to close. And that's why you don't want green hair algae, because it becomes a problem far as irritating your corals, especially like zoas and things like that. The goniophoras over here seem to be doing fine. No, they're retracted in a bit. But we're going to go ahead and scrub all around here. We're here once every 2 weeks. Oh, yeah, if you look over here on the side, it's pretty bad. Yeah, it's pretty bad. So we're here once every 2 weeks. We probably should be coming here a little bit more often, but this is what the schedule is, you know. So we're going to do my best while I'm here right now. Now, the customer has been feeding some pellet foods in here, which I'm going to recommend to stop and just strictly feed frozen food for the time being until we get over this algae. Those pellets are very nutrient dense, and that when the fish eat them, obviously that's a lot more excess nutrients that's in the water in fish waste. So we want to feed some of that frozen food that's a little bit less nutrient dense and adding more nutrients to the water column. So I've been scrubbing. I'm going to do a water change. I'm also going to go through here with a fish net and try to net out as much algae as I possibly can. I'm probably only going to do about a 30% water change, nothing too crazy, just enough to kind of suck a little bit of the algae out. Nothing too, nothing over the top with this tank today. All the fish look really, really good, I have to say. There's a lot of new additions to this aquarium, and we've added a lot of fish quickly. And that might have to do with some of the algae bloom as well. But I got these Monet cowries in here, one of my favorite cleanup crew members, and we're going to add them in here today, as well as a couple of tuxedo urchins to kind of graze on that algae. I really do love these Monet cowries. Now, the approach going forward is going to be to obviously get off those flake and pellet foods. We're going to have the cleanup crew. So that's gonna add the tuxedo urchins and the Monet cowries. So it's got a lot of grazers to the aquarium. We're gonna look at the light. I believe the light's on a little bit too long. Plus the intensity is a little bit much for such a young tank. There's not that much coral in here. The lighting intensity does not need to be as strong as it is. And we can cut that photo period back as well. The main thing I'm focusing on right now is just the algae's there. It's not incredibly strong, but just to scrub it, to clean it, and just to make it hard for it to get a hold in this aquarium. So keep up with our water chemistry, and we added the cleanup crew to graze anything that, to graze on the tank, scrub, get it out of the aquarium, and then just give the rocks just a little bit longer until they cure and the tank is able to fight off the hair algae on its own. I think time is on our side. I think by giving this tank a little bit more time, doing the small little changes, I think we're going to see a drastic difference here in the future. And we've been through this before. Young tanks, usually between a 4-month to 6-8 month period, usually go through some type of algae bloom. So we expect it, and we've prepped for it. We're only here once every 2 weeks, so sometimes things get away from you. But when I'm here, I'm going to do the best that I can, and I'm going to make the adjustments so that when I come here again, I put myself in a better position. And I communicated with the customer, gave them directions of what to do to make the tank better as well. All right, here's what the tank looks like now after about 3 weeks, I think. And we can see a huge difference. Just the sand looks so much cleaner. And let's take a closer look at the rock. There's still a little bit of algae on there, but it's mostly dying. Can scrub that off pretty easy. But for the most part, the rocks are way clearer than they were before. Doesn't mean we're out of the woods yet. You can still see there's some algae right there. But the process is working. And if you look really closely, you can start to see coralline algae growing, which is a great sign. I'm really happy because the more space that coralline algae takes up, the less space for the green hair algae.
but we are seeing progress, and that's all I ever ask for. After 3 weeks, I know it seems like a long time, but it's, we're headed in the right direction. And this is a very new, immature tank. I went through a whole rehaul, completely changed out, so this rock is going to take time to cure. And the fact that we're seeing coralline algae growth in multiple areas is such a great sign to me. And the fish, more importantly, are very happy. And with the urchins that we have in here, and the little fish like the yellow tang munching on the rocks, hopefully you can keep that algae at bay. But it is dying. It's starting to get gray. It's starting to get mushy and coming off easy. I think by the next visit, we should be looking really good. Fingers crossed.
All right, so there you have it. Now the tank has come a long way. We're still not where we want to be, but it's making progress, and we're, pretty much got rid of all that hair algae. It's on its way out. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. What works for you when dealing with hair algae? I'd love to hear everybody's thoughts on this subject, because there's a lot of people out there that could use some advice that are going through the tough hair algae issues, and I think any comments or anything like that could help them. I cannot wait to show you what this tank's gonna look like in the future. All right, thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one.